narcissist doesn't understand how you're doing better without them. They can't fathom that you are able to thrive without their presence. And I know that sounds absolutely strange, but remember, a narcissist projects. So they know that they cannot survive without your presence, without your energy, without your narcissistic supply, without you to reflect back at them their greatness. You know, they wouldn't really exist because they need that validation. So when you're thriving without them, they don't understand how that's possible because they know they can't thrive without another person being there to, as I said, reflect back at them all these things that they need to feel about themselves in order to avoid feeling, you know, the shame, dealing with the traumas, the inner wounds. And that's, you know, we all do that in some shape, way, or form. It's a form of, you know, it's denial. So the narcissist doesn't understand that when they discard you, sure, it's awful, it's terrible, and you go through that phase. However, the narcissist expected you to stay there forever. And the reason why I say this is because all sources of supply prior to you obviously didn't figure out who the narcissist really was or what was going on with the manipulations and the cycles. And a lot of times, because the more unhealed we are, the harder it is for us to catch on to people's cycles of manipulation like a narcissist. And that is because, well, number one, you are so confused from all the gaslighting, from all the manipulation. You're constantly confused. You're depleted of energy. You are not feeling well just because your overall health is deteriorating from the stress of the psychological abuse and the manipulations. It's just the overall having to deal with a narcissist and their antics and keeping up with them, because they simply just are children who get bored very, very easily and get very, very upset when things are not exactly how they want them to be. And it drains you very, very quickly because it is hard to keep them entertained 24/7 for an extended period of time. Anyway, so a narcissist can't understand that when you've been discarded, how you were able to get back your sense of self and in fact actually find out who you truly are. You find out more about yourself than you knew before the narcissist. And see, the narcissist doesn't have a recognizable experience of anyone else around them ever doing that, because a narcissist only surrounds themselves with people that normalize their behavior, that help regulate them to make them feel normal. So a narcissist is going to be around other people with toxic and dysfunctional relationships in their close group, in their close vicinity. They may have outlying friends who have what appear to be semi-healthy relationships, but the narcissist is not going to disclose a lot of intimate details with people who make them feel dysfunctional. They don't want to be around anyone that makes them feel dysfunctional. And you trying to hold the narcissist accountable for something makes them feel dysfunctional, because you are causing dysfunction in their perceived system on how things should be in their narrative, in their fantasy world. And you are not in devaluation forever. The narcissist gets confused and gets anxious because that's a loss of control. So when you break up with a narcissist or you get discarded, the narcissist needs you to remain in devaluation and internalizing what happened and blaming yourself so that they can regulate themselves and stay in love bombing with the new supply. So they can have you to internalize the trauma of the entire relationship, the failures of the relationship, so they can keep their mask up, so they can stay regulated, so that they can secure more supply for the loss of your place, for your discard. You have to be replaced. A narcissist needs narcissistic supply. And when you heal, or you decide you are not going to stay in devaluation any longer, and you are not going to accept fault because you're doing the research, you're getting the knowledge, you understand what's happening now, so you understand what things about yourself that you need to heal up so that the narcissist can't dig around in your wounds anymore and exploit your wounds and pour salt in them, because now those wounds have been healed. So you see everything for what it is. And then you start to thrive because you didn't just leave the narcissist. They didn't just discard you and you went about your business. This time, you put everything around you on hold and you healed those wounds permanently for good. So no salt can ever get back in there. There's no scab or anything. It's completely scarred over and you are good to go. So no one can ever do those things to you again, which in turn causes you to become a better version of yourself, because now that those wounds are completely healed up, no one has anything to exploit anymore. So the more you heal a wound, the more wounds you heal up, the less another person like a narcissist has to exploit, which automatically helps you thrive, because now people are less likely to be able to trigger you, to get a reaction out of you, and you're less likely to waste or spend your energy giving things an emotional reaction because you can't be triggered anymore because you have healed that wound. And I tell you, that is one of the benefits. If you change your perspective about a narcissistic relationship after you just been put through hell and back, if you change your perspective and realize that all that narcissist did was shine a big spotlight on all your wounds, all your unhealed wounds and all your traumas, shined a spotlight all over you and then poured salt in every single one of them and let you know each one they were pouring it into and exploited it, poked around in it, poured salt in your wound, did all kinds of nasty stuff to your unhealed wounds. So when the narcissist discarded you, or you finally had enough and said, okay, I can't do this, because the pain becomes too much to bear. The burden of your wounds, the burden of the narcissist wounds, they just become too much to bear. It is a weight that one person just cannot, your shoulders cannot handle it. And so finally you've had enough and you take that step back and you look at that narcissist and you say, you know what, narcissist? Thank you for that discard. I'm glad that you think A, B, and C, that these supplies are going to be so much better than me, because I need a break anyway. I need to go over here and take care of myself because, oh my goodness, narcissist, take those other supplies because I need a break. And that's, you finally reach that point where when the narcissist is giving you silent treatments or discarding you to go run off with other sources of supply, you're grateful because you feel like maybe you can breathe for a little bit, that some weight or some burden has been lifted off of you. And that's what it feels like when you've accepted the discard or the breakup or whatever happened permanently. Because then you take that time and you heal your wounds. You heal them. And that is why you seem to do so much better after you leave the narcissist. And it's because when there's not a narcissist around you, there's no one pouring salt in your open wounds, exploiting your open wounds, trying to just turn you into one giant wound. So when you get away from a narcissist, you have time to heal. And that is why people can't get better while you're in the relationship with a narcissist. That's another reason why the narcissist won't get better, will not get better when you are in the relationship with them, because they're getting all their needs met when you're there emotionally reacting. When you're there validating their nonsense, the longer you stick around, when you know they're being bad, they know they're being bad to you, you both agree that the narcissist is being bad to you, but you stay because you're trauma bonded. It's hard to go, and there's a lot of other circumstances because narcissists like to make people dependent on them. You know, when you leave and you heal up, the narcissist is just shocked and doesn't understand how you're elevating so quickly. How are you elevating so quickly? You've been down for so long. Well, it's because they keep you down. And all you got to do is spend enough time away from there and start you got to let those wounds fully heal. Fully heal, not just halfway heal. They need to be scarred over. So that way when the narcissist comes by with the salt shaker throwing salt all over you, you've got no open wounds for that salt to even make you cringe or give an ounce of pain or sting, because the narcissist they can sense any little vulnerability in you. So if you've got any shred of an open wound left in you that they could possibly put a little bit of salt on, a little sprinkle of salt on to get you to they'll do it to get you to react, to watch you in pain, to watch you get triggered. So that is why the more you heal, the longer you stay away from a narcissist, the more you thrive, because your wounds are healing up. And then once those wounds are permanently healed and scarred over, there's nothing anybody can do. You're basically untouchable because there's nothing to exploit. But if you don't give yourself, like if you only spend a certain amount of time away and you halfway heal up those wounds, and then you go back to the narcissist, like I already said, they're going to do it all over again, and now you're going to have an even bigger wound, and you got to start all over. And that's why when you break no contact, it resets the clock. It'll put you back all the way to the beginning, because it's the narcissist putting their fingers and ripping your wound back open and dumping a bunch of salt in it. And so if you're healed and then you have to deal with the narcissist, they're going to be confused, because they're going to say, wait a minute, no matter how much salt I pour on you, you're not reacting. Why? And you're thinking, because I don't have any open wounds, narcissist. That's why your salt isn't bothering me now. So yeah, a narcissist doesn't get that, because everybody around them prior to you didn't understand what was going on. And that's because they were also using the narcissist to regulate their behavior. And that is what the narcissist doesn't understand. And that's why the longer you stay away from the narcissist and keep learning about yourself and understanding what's going on around you and the behaviors that you engage in, you elevate faster and faster, because the more wounds you permanently heal up, the less damage people can do to you. So it's harder to basically wound you again. Once you've permanently healed that wound, it's harder for you to get wounded again, because now you've had radical acceptance. Now you've accepted those wounds, which is your acceptance is why they were able to heal. You finally going, I don't care what people think. And that's what that narcissist was here to teach you, to just really not care what people think. You know, narcissists care so much about their image and their reputation and what people think. And that's why the narcissist runs smear campaigns on people. So it deflects away from their bad character. You know, so no one's paying attention to the bad stuff they're doing, and everybody's paying attention to what appears to be bad stuff you're doing. And, you know, you spend a lot of time defending yourself against the narcissist until you finally go, you know what, I don't care what people think anymore. And that's one of the beautiful things, if you change your perspective. I mean, there's nothing good about narcissistic abuse, but if you change your perspective, you realize that prior to that relationship, you thought you didn't care what people thought about you, until that narcissist started gaslighting you and running smear campaigns on you, and you were constantly defending yourself. But afterwards, now you realize you really don't care what people think about you. See, that narcissist was like some brutal training, some crazy type of narcissistic boot camp or something that they put you through, and it really, you know, it helps. I gotta tell you, nothing about going through that feels good. It is horrible. But man, the more you heal, the more you're like, oh, well, now I know that'll never happen again, because you know once you get on the other side of that, you're not dating another narcissist again. It won't happen. Can't happen. Won't happen. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep getting the knowledge. You are all going to be amazing.